The Golden Slipper is the race I want to win. It's the race that Sydney's about.
Golden Slipper is a great race. It's a race we all want to win and all want to be part of.
Oh, what a race. It's our race, I reckon.
A lot of pressure, a lot of anxious moments.
The landscape changes week by week.
I've been lucky enough to win it a couple of times, but just having a runner in the race, I'm always proud of getting a horse in there.
Had 3 runners in at once, drew 14, 15, 16, so very hard race to win.
By the time I woke up in the morning, I thought this is my race to lose, and she delivered the money.
Early speed, fast horses, 1200 at Rose Hill.
It's 5.5 in front away game.
It validated the partnership. It gave us, I feel, the sort of recognition that we needed at that time.
And the Gay Waterhouse teaming up with Adrian Bott for this year's Slipper.
They're starting making races, so it's always been number one in my mind.
There's only one biggest 2-year-old race in the world, and that's at Rose Hill on the 22nd of March.
Well, there we go. It's time to get excited. It is Golden Slipper Week and a bumper edition of this week's Golden Path. As I say, a very good evening to my co-hosts, and they're excited. It's Ron Duffy and Brad Gray. You excited, Duff?
Oh, yes. It's a deep, deep race. I wouldn't be surprised, Brad, if it's by jump time $6 plus the field here.
I think that's probably a pretty fair reflection, isn't it? So a bit to get through tonight. It's going to be a runner-by-runner guide, and as you'll see throughout the show, we can make a little case for most of them. We were saying pre-show that there's not too many you can really put a pen through, which makes it a really exciting edition.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Well, even in our discussions about who we could put a pen through, we kiboshed each other's ideas. So yes. That's how open it is, isn't it?
I end up with numbers 17 and 18 that I put the pen through, and they're likely scratchings.
Probably the safest that you can have. So let's take a look at the final field as it stands now. So, of course, we have Rivellino, Devil Knight, North England, Tycoon Star, West of Swindon, Bivark, Skyhook, Wadton, King of Pop, Quietly Arrogant, Far-Sighted, Within the Law, and over the page we go to Tempted, Belazane, Military Tycoon, Mahuna, Alabama Magic is our first emergency, and Nepotism is our second emergency there. And wouldn't it be fantastic just on Alabama Magic to see Braithnock with a ride in the Golden Slipper?
Yeah, it would be. If it happens, yeah, it'd be a great moment for him, and he's riding very, very well, I must say. He's really taken to the city riding, and he's a star of the future.
He certainly is. All right, well, Tim Ryan has had a very busy week, particularly a very busy Tuesday. Let's catch up with him now and see how the market is shaping up.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. Big day on Saturday, Tab Golden Slipper Day, and it promises to be one of the most open in the race's history. At the moment, Woden, we're still playing hardball with his price. He's only a slight drifter, $4.50 out to $4.80. He's only the 5th most popular runner, but we're playing it pretty safe. I think you can expect a better price for him on Saturday. If you want to bet around him, there is plenty of value. The best backed runners to beat him have been Rivellino, who's been a good firm in. He's been 11 into 10. He is the most popular runner, just in front of Within the Law, who's also a firm from the Open on Tuesday, $13 into 12. At longer odds, we've seen some good bets for Bivark at 51 into $41, and even Farsighted, 101 into $41. As far as my tip, Tempted to run favourite. She was the best lead-up run that I saw leading into this Golden Slipper. She's got the best barrier, so I think she'll run favourite there on Saturday. But good luck with whatever you do.
And with that being said, guys, I think the fillies have had a better record coming out of the Roseling into the Slipper as well. Is that right, Duff?
Yeah, look, it's different every year. Look, when you look at the stats of the race, the lead-up races, you think, oh, you love to run on the Todman because it's 2 weeks before, but the stats tell you that, the Blue Diamonds had 5 winners. This is winners. The Magic Millions 3, Silver Slipper 7, Skyline 5, Sweet Embrace 4, Todman 6, Riesling 7, Pago 4, not many run the week before, and 6 out of the Magic Night. And and just going back, there's been 8 winners out of the Breeders' Plate. So imagine if King Kirk was still around, his connections would be still having nightmares. From looking at that record that Breeders' Plate winners have in the Golden Slipper.
Most certainly, Brad. I found it interesting that Waddington was 5th best backed.
Yeah, well, the damage is already done. I like how it's being billed like Waddington versus the Tab.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Oh, yeah,
isn't it?
Great
the walls are going to fall down.
We're all going to be out of a job
if he squeezes through a gap and launches late. So if you like Waddington, and I'm still sticking fat with him, just hold fire. We're going to get better. We'll get much better than the $4.80.
Well, more broadly, it's probably going to be James McDonald v the Tab on Saturday, isn't it?
That's true as well.
That's every week.
That's every week, particularly this week, I feel. All right, well, without further ado, let's get straight into this and start with our first runner that we take a look at, and that is none other than Rivellino. Hugh Bowman comes over from Hong Kong to ride for his old mate Chris Lees, and really, Rivellino hasn't done anything wrong, has he?
Well, he's one of only 2 unbeaten horses in the race, so you beware of the unbeaten horse. He's strong, he runs 1,200 right out, he looks to find a race with speed in it. So whether he's won the strongest lead-ups, I don't know, but he's impossible to pot.
Well, he beat Skyhook here, albeit Skyhook was unlucky, but what I liked about this win is that he overcame a slow tempo, so you'd think he'd be even better suited getting to 1,200 metres and a high-pressure 1,200 metres as opposed to a sprint home over 1,200 metres, because Chris Lees has always maintained that he's probably more of a 1,400 metre type. So he just needs to hold a spot from the barrier. I think his race is hinging in terms of where he can settle.
Yeah, well, he's been ridden quietly pretty well every start. And I think he's a horse that'll need clear running from the top of the straight to wind into his work, because that's just him. And he keeps charging through the line. So, and do you hunt him up and get him out of his comfort zone when you know he's got a booming finish? There's a fine line with that, but one thing in his favour, he's got a very experienced jockey on who's cool as a cucumber, Bowman.
The SOS to Huey.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's the man for the job.
And they're old mates too, of course, Hugh Bowman and Chris Lee, so they've got a really nice association. The overall story of the horse is a nice association too. Chris Lees is in. I know that their good mate Juzzy Bain also had bought the horse, and they've got some of their good mates in there, so it'll certainly be a nice story.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. So he's impossible to pot.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, well, now we look at our Blue Diamond winner. It is Devil Knight, Mick D to ride for Team Hawkes. Let's take a look at this Blue Diamond.
Well, what do we want to say here, Brad? Like he's, we were all potting this form after the race. They've run slow time. He was there,
and we're all
Johnny
wrong
on the spot. If you looked at his trials before he went to his first start in the Blue Diamond Prelude, he just told you he was 40-1 there because he hadn't trialled that good. Even though he won a trial, he was sort of didn't look flashy, but. They're masters at their trade, the Hawks team, and they've just been happy to just sit on the fence here and present him here with, good-looking form now, with considering Tempton's out of that race and Tycoon Star's out of that race, and that form has been franked.
Yeah, and if you like him, you're probably left wondering why you're getting $12 because he is a Blue Diamond winner. We've seen the form franked through that. He goes forward, he makes his own luck, and that was only his second career start, so there has to be more upside, and I do concede he has won at $41 and $16, so he doesn't have that SP, but 2-year-olds can overcome that.
Yep.
He's arguably the forgotten horse of the field at this stage, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that might be an ongoing theme here. That might be an ongoing theme.
Most certainly. We might say that a few times, as you said. Let's look to North England now for Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Tim Clark is aboard.
I just don't know what to think of him.
No, they're playing catch-up.
It's been well exposed.
Something I'd like to note about him, and I've spoken about it on the show in the past as well. Of course, we're watching his Golden Gift here. This was all the way back in November, but most recently when we saw him in the Todman, I thought he had quite a bit of improvement to come. They didn't have him screwed down, which I thought was interesting. And he was one of the horses, of course, that was eyeballed down the straight, and he was able to stick on while the others sort of tailed off. So I thought that was really interesting with him. He wasn't screwed down.
Yeah, look, he got tired. It's as simple as that. So how much improvement has he got to come? They're master trainers, we know that, Gai and Adrian. They spoke him up all the way through. I thought Tim Clark may have switched to the filly, but he hasn't. He's stuck with the colt, which is a very good lead. So, yeah, I can't tip him, but I can see where the other angle as well.
I can.
Just comes down to early pressure, doesn't it? And there does look to be some speed, but at least you know what you're going to get. That's a run for your money.
That's right. That's half the battle.
It is.
Okay, let's hear from his co-trainer Adrian Bott now at the barrier draw on Tuesday morning.
The draw was pretty crucial for him, and I think that's a lovely draw. Came here today saying we'll love a draw inside 10 with him, just particularly given his racing profile. So we've come away with that, so very pleased.
He missed the run in the Silver Slipper, it's well documented, and then in the Todman he was brave running fifth, but I think after the race you said he'll improve significantly from the run. How has he done in the 2 weeks since?
Yeah, excellent. We really have seen that improvement in him physically. He's tightened up nicely off the back of that run. Obviously much fitter for that. He's had a couple of nice gallops in between those races, and really gone ahead in the manner that we wanted to see. So couldn't be happier with him now in his lead up.
I like to hear that, tightened up nicely off the back of that run. That's what
You're just hearing what you want to hear.
Yeah,
aren't you?
totally. That's how is that not racing?
Selective hearing.
That's what I say that a bit in my household, but it's not obviously in reference to me most of the time. Let's talk about Tycoon Star for the Hayes boys and Mark Zara rides.
Now here's one that I'm very wary of. He was very green, first run Sydney, off the track. I think he'll take enormous benefit from that experience. And I thought his Blue Diamond and Prelude runs were as good as anything with the pattern that he's got getting back. So he maybe finds a faster race here, and I think he runs well ridden quietly.
Yeah, you'd imagine they would have backed off a little bit after the Blue Diamond. I think that just told late, didn't it, in that Todman run, and he'll be better for that run in Sydney as well. So I still think he's a horse learning his craft, but with each run, he's can only get better, you'd think.
All right, let's look now to West of Swindon. This is another one for Team Hawkes. Tyler Schiller is aboard, and we, of course, saw him as a late scratching on Saturday morning out of the race there on the weekend.
Well, I just can't believe he's getting to the price he is, this horse. I know he's had setbacks along the way, and it's not the ideal preparation. I don't think we've seen him on the track fit yet.
Do we sort of just keep waiting to see the best of him, don't we?
Well, we haven't had an opportunity.
That's right,
You know, he just qualified straight away.
That's right.
And they've kept their powder dry, saying, oh, we've got the slipper colt here. And then they didn't know they're going to run into a few little issues with him the week before, and all of a sudden they're maybe a run short. But he's had the trial. He's a beautiful colt, and I think he's got a lot of quality on his side. He's come up with a perfect draw.
Yeah.
I cannot let him go round at $34 or $31, whatever he is now. He could put egg on our face. So, you know, on face value, if, you know, Hawkes didn't train him, he wouldn't be running him unless he was right. He'd wait another week or two.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's here to run well. Whether he's at absolute 100% has to be questionable. But I'm convinced he's good enough, because in the Silver Slipper. I think it was just a start-off race for him to get him ready for the Golden Slipper, and that's how he raced too. He travelled sweetly, overdid it, a little bit fresh, just got tired, and you say, well, this horse is going to jump out of the ground.
And the market was so soft on him late.
Well, you knew that, yeah.
Forecast that there was a lot of improvement.
Yeah, so I'm keen to have a look at him Saturday. But from that draw, with such a beautiful colt with his talent, he should be not that far out in the market.
It's a good point you make too. I think Team Hawkes would certainly not be running him if they didn't think he was 100%
Not
and
their
that he
style.
couldn't handle it. And also given the fact that I think we'll see these Wootton Bassets improve even more into their 3-year-old seasons.
Well, they might, and we'll find out. We've got a couple here that have been prepared for this day, so they get their opportunity to say, yeah, we are the real deal, or maybe we are 3-year-olds.
That's right, Waddington being one of them, of course. Let's talk about Bivark now for James Cummings and Adam Hieronymus.
It's not the right draw for him. He's a horse that needs, got to switch him off, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't know how this works out for him.
It's not executing well, this horse. He gets a dig and he overdoes it. So he needs a draw where he can get covering like he did when he won. You know, you look at the Silver Slipper, he was the name on everyone's lips. You know, that was probably one of the other dominant 2-year-old wins of the year, of the season. And I know West of Swindon was second to him, but he completely outpointed him that day.
Yeah, he was great in the Silver Slipper, wasn't he? And all of a sudden we're talking about him as a horse going towards a Golden Slipper. But that Todman run where he had excuses, but he was wide and over-raced, is that a rinse and repeat for him here? I think the best he can hope for is maybe a 3-wide running line.
Yeah,
and even from
switching
there, it's
himself
hard.
off. He's still got to execute it properly.
Absolutely right. So coming out of the Silver Slipper, of course. Now let's actually touch on Skyhook now. Of course, he's on the backup for Gerald Ryan and Sterling Alexio, and Karen McAvoy will ride. He's on the week backup.
Well, how can you pot this win? I know he got a beautiful controlling position, but look what he did, Brad.
dominant margin too, wasn't it?
Big margin.
So you will note with a lot of these lead-ups, if not all of them, it's pretty tight, and you can make cases for a few runners in each race, but there's only one case to be made here, marching towards a Golden Slipper, and that's Skyhook. So Shinzo was on the quick turnaround 2 years ago. He did the double, and he may be the right horse really coming into his own. He went into his debut run with just the one trial, and each time we've seen him, he's got that bit better. So Sterling Alexio did say throughout the week that he's bounced through that, which is really encouraging. I think he was talking to you, Al, actually. Sterling said that he'd come through the run particularly well. So given it was so hot there on Saturday, I think that's what you wanted to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
I found it interesting at Trackwork, and we will hear from Sterling at the barrier draw after this, but I had a chat to him at Trackwork that morning, and he mentioned that they'd kept him probably on the fresher side leading into Saturday with the hope that he would then back up a week in. So, because I said that to Sterling, he was quite hot in the yard. Of course, we had a hot day, but he was a bit above himself. He had that mishap in the morning where he'd slipped over, so everything sort of probably was looking a little bit touch and go for them, but he's bounced through it in superb order. So we'll hear from his co-trainer, Sterling Alexiou, now after the barrier draw.
He came through the race particularly well, nice and bright. He ate up, had a good drink of water Saturday night, which has helped. So he's really happy with how the week started out.
You won't have to do much with him this week. He's ready to go, and from barrier 8, he's got that speed to take advantage and settle wherever he's comfortable.
He does. He'll just have a light week, middle of the row there. Just at first glance, quite a bit of speed drawn out wide, but he's got good gate speed to begin. Sort of slide across with that speed, and hopefully he can land a nice spot somewhere.
Yeah, Sterling heard from us a few times there on Tuesday morning. I'm sure he was grateful to see the back of us, but when you've got a bunch of 2-year-olds like they do at the moment, we're knocking on their door. All right, that's a look at our first segment and our first group of runners for this weekend's Golden Slipper. As we head to a break, let's hear from Chris Lees and his story so far.
Yeah, Rivellino, he's a lovely horse. He's can't do any more than he's doing so far. As you said, 3 from 3. Looking forward to stepping up to his next challenge in the Slipper.
Rivellino's letting down on the outside, an open secret between them, but Rivellino charging away now, rattling home within the law. Rivellino wins the English Millennium a half length.
What do you think of the future?
Oh, look, we'll digest today. He's a smart 2-year-old, so I'd say we'll be pushing on to some degree and we'll see where he sits.
Could you see him in a Slipper?
Could see him in a Slipper for sure off that. I think the Millennium form looks to have stood up really well this year. I dare say he's possibly the only horse that will go in undefeated, so he can't do much more than that.
He's gone from winning at 1,000 to 1,100 to 1,200, the Slipper distance, so that's a big plus.
Yeah, look, he's give us the indication at some stage he'll probably stretch out even further, but a fast run 1,200 would be to his liking.
Tackling Blazing Saddles at the 200, clear of Princess Deliria. Lloyd Boy running on, but Luskin Star had raced past Blazing Saddles in the closing stages, and Luskin Star is going to win, pulling up. Lloyd Boy will get up for second, but a very, very impressive win by Luskin Star, who's won by 6 lengths.
He was so brilliant, as a 2-year-old. And the prize money that I think the Slipper when he won it was worth 77,000.
Yeah.
It's now worth 2 million or something.
Yeah, frightening. More.
Yeah.
What about this boy of yours? When he made the announcement that he wanted to train in his own right, did you encourage him? Or?
I did, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and I think he'll make the grade as a trainer too, because he goes quite well,
Your dad Max famously won the Golden Slipper in 1977 with Luskin Star by 7 lengths. What a day that was.
Yeah, well, you'd remember it, Greg. I was a bit young. But look, I don't think anything will be winning by 7 lengths this year. It looks a really competitive bunch of 2-year-olds.
48 years ago, I'm told you're 54 now, which makes you 6. Do you remember anything of that time?
No, not really. I remember the next season a little bits of it, but can't really remember the Slipper.
You took over as the stable trainer after Max's untimely death at 65. You were 33, but you were planning to become a trainer at some stage anyway, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I suppose that come a little quicker than expected, but it was a reasonably smooth transition, if you could call it that. But yeah, certainly gone quick that next 20 years.
What did he teach you as a trainer and as a man?
Well, I don't think he wasn't big on words, but I think if you watched and learned, there's always something to pick up. But he was, he placed his horses well, he fed his horses well, and I think he showed owners and staff plenty of respect, and I think they're all good attributes.
How good would it feel to win a Golden Slipper when that's the race he's best known for winning?
Yeah, certainly. Look, it's a wonderful race regardless of that. You know, it's the number 1 2-year-old race in the world, so it's certainly it would be a huge thrill, but we're looking forward to getting there.
You do like to keep it tight at the race course when it comes to emotion, don't you?
I do, if I can, but you know, big race might bring a few emotions out. So anyway, we'll see how we go.
Could you imagine winning a bigger race in your life than the Slipper?
Oh, look, it's a stallion-making race. It's a wonderful race. I'm happy hopefully to be a part of.
You were outed though when someone filmed you from behind as Mugatoo won the All-Star Mile at Moonee Valley. You were there with your son and you went off in the grandstand.
Yeah, them big money races seem to bring the best out in most people.
But that was what it felt like, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's pure emotion is what it is.
I guess on Slipper Day, if your horse is in the finish, we'll find out how much it means to you then.
That's right. Yeah, let's hope so.
A horse ignorant person asking this question, are you calling him Wotan or Wadton?
I've been told Wotan. Wadton. I've been told a few. No, Wadton. Yeah, so I've been told, Wonton with a D, so Wadton. The preparation's exactly what we set out to do, have 3 runs before the Golden Slipper. Ideally he would have won his last start, but it wasn't quite the case, but the reason for the 3 runs is to learn as much as you can and prepare the horses for the grand final, which is the TAB Golden Slipper. So I'm happy with the prep. Confidence levels are therefore high from the preparation perspective. We know how good he is, we've just got to get him to do it in the grand final. I think the addition of the cheek pieces, which is just a simple piece of sheepskin on the side of his face, just to keep him focused on what's going on in front, and riding him a little bit more conservative. Obviously it's a sprint race, but we still feel that he's got more to offer by being held up and ensuring he has that lethal finish over the last 200 or 300 metres. On the training tracks, he's very, very sharp, exciting. So we just need to replicate that on race day and the grand finals when it needs to happen. The only concern of barrier 2 is getting out. If you've got enough speed, you'll get out. So I think he's got enough speed. Barrier 2 conserves energy. Barrier 2 means you're in your comfort zone. Wider barriers have to do a lot of work. They've got to cover extra ground. So there's certainly a lot of positives with barrier 2.
Certainly confident there from Chris Waller. So that was this morning at track work, and the media contingent were out in force to watch him work. Wadton, Wonton. What do you think?
He wasn't confident about
yeah,
his
that is
name.
the only thing. He was confidently not confident.
Celebrate with wonton soup there.
Wonton with a D was the explanation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's very confusing now.
Wadton. I thought the D was almost... I'm going to confuse myself the more I say it.
I'm not saying it.
No, we'll just say Wadton. Let's talk about him though. So Chris Waller and James McDonald combine, of course, here for Coolmore, and this is his most recent run, and we watch him in the Todman.
So what do we say about this, Brad?
Well, he's been favourite forever and a day, hasn't he? Since he made that big statement going back to mid-January now. So since then, Silver Slipper, excuses, 3 wide working, improvement to come. And here he was in the Todman, and you did note that there in the middle stages, he just wanted to get a bit keen. So I think the inside gate's important for him. He gets winkers first time. You can just put him towards the inside, hopefully conserve that energy and just give him last look. So I still think he's the horse to beat, but you deserve better than $4.80 to find out.
Yeah, he must show, for him to get carried away, I know you think you've got to get carried away about the beautiful, well-bred Coolmore colts, but he must show them so much at home.
Well, there was such a rap on him early days. Do you remember as soon as he came in, the whispers started filtering through?
He can't do anything but run well. And I think he's got a terrific winning chance. If Chris Waller, James McDonald weren't involved and the whole big hullabaloo, he'd be a great bet at $10 or $12, whatever he should be in this race.
Yeah.
I still think he's got a great chance.
So he started $1.60, $2.20 and $2 in his 3 runs so far. So
there you go.
So you have him on top,
I do.
Brad?
Yes.
What do you like most about him?
What I like most about him?
Most about him.
I like the barrier, to be honest.
Okay.
If he drew out, I wouldn't have him on top. But I think it's a Golden Slipper this year that's so evenly matched, which we've spoken about in a bit of detail, but I think it's going to come down to...
Ambush.
Ambush, yeah, and where you are in the run. And I just want to find those horses that are just tucked in behind that speed, and I think he's one of those.
Okay.
So Tempted gets the same run, I think Skyhook gets the same run, and I think Mahuna gets the same run, and we'll speak about her a little bit later.
Okay. Put you on the spot there. Let's talk about King of Pop now, though. Another one for Gerald Ryan and Sterling Alexio and Zach Lloyd is aboard. This is the Black Opal. We also look at Farsighted here.
Yeah, I have to bet on him at the price he is. I was considering tipping him from a very good draw. He runs very fast time here. And I hate being brainwashed by trainers, but every time I've heard Sterling or Gerald or had him on the radio for interviews, no, this is the 2-year-old. This is number 1 seed all the way through. And he's done nothing wrong except draw barrier 16.
Yeah. Well, what do they draw on the 2 Black Opal horses? 16 and 17.
Yeah, that's right.
Barry Gauns haven't smiled kindly upon them.
If something untoward happens and the track plays that way, or he happens to get a freak run 3 deep with cover, I still think he's a live wire chance because he's done nothing wrong, winning both starts. He's had the boom on him all the way through. They've got him spot on where they want him for a grand final. He just missed the top 4 only because of the barrier, and he would have been top pick if he drew well.
Yeah, the only 2 winners in the past 15 years that have come from further back than 8th in the run were both on a heavy track, and they both came up the fence.
True.
Which just goes to show how important it is.
But still, in saying that, this Rosehill track is not playing to pattern.
No, that's fair. If it plays like it played last Saturday, all of a sudden he's in the best
There's
ground.
been a few anomalies. We've all got all this history, and the track, for some reason, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, is not racing to patterns. You get the rail, sometimes in there it's fence on fire, 2 lanes. We haven't seen that for a while. It's been off the fence a lot.
Yes, it's true.
So keep an eye on things.
Well, let's talk about Farsighted now for Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. We have Josh Parr aboard. I don't think we'd really touched on him. So what are your thoughts there?
I think he's an improver, but he's got 2 Canberra runs and he's gone well. But is that Golden Slipper form? I don't know. I don't think so. But he's 100s into 40s, and that's the theme of the race. And no horse should be 100 to 1 here because of how even all the lead-ups have been, and some have run fast, some have come behind, some have raced on speed, and it all comes down, as most races, to luck in the day. So, I can't make a big case for him, but there's nothing wrong with his talent.
Okay. Well, let's hear from King of Pop's jockey now, Zach Lloyd.
Unfortunately, a very bad draw. What can you do about that?
Yeah, not much we can do about that, obviously. Very happy with my ride. He's a very nice fun and colt. I was very confident he could run a good race prior to the barrier draw. After the barrier draw, we're going to need a bit of luck, but you can't really have a plan when you draw like that. You just got to jump, ride your race, and see how the race unfolds. But we're going to need a lot of luck, that's for sure.
1-2 from 2, and including in that is the Black Opal. You rode him that day. Obviously, you were impressed.
Yeah, I was very happy with him. I went down to Canberra for him in the Group 3 Black Opal, and he won very nicely. He gave me a great feeling of a colt who could improve and be very competitive in a slipper. I was happy to take him straight away. And he'll race well with obviously some luck.
All right, let's talk about now Quietly Arrogant. We've got Tommy Berry aboard for Pete Snowden.
Yeah, well, he's a strong horse. I'll give him that. He's holding his condition. He looks great. He's always been a horse I've liked. He's only won 1 race, but he'll just mind his own business and run past a lot of tired horses and, place at best. But he's a strong horse. He'd be stronger than most late.
Yeah, he hit the line lock together with Skyhook and had a bit of a hard luck story to tell himself because I think he is a bit of a momentum horse, isn't he? Once he lost that, he probably lost his advantage. So, yeah, I do expect him to be among the strongest late, and the barrier just gives Tommy Berry the chance to park up midfield.
Yeah, that's just perfect. Everything looks sweet for him if he's good enough.
Yep.
Let's now hear from his jockey, Tommy Berry.
He's a lovely colt. He's performed really well so far. He's had the trip to Queensland, which grounded him really nicely. And as you said, the form out of the weekend with Gerald's horse winning, and he finished alongside him, pretty much just as unlucky as him at his previous start. So, look, he's drawn a really good barrier. I don't think the market's really respecting him as much as they should, but I'm sure he'll show a good bold showing on the weekend.
I know Tommy Berry had a gallop on him on Tuesday morning and was straight on the phone to Henry Field, who he said reported all systems go. He was really pleased with him.
Got to keep sweet with Henry.
Always, you've got to say the right things. All right, as we head to a break, let's now hear from Quietly Arrogant's trainer, Pete Snowden.
Quietly Arrogant goes back to the rails at Valedictorian. Rivellino, they beat off Shaggy. Skyhook and Quietly Arrogant are surging. Quietly Arrogant going after Rivellino. Rivellino, though, has got them covered. Oh, no bad luck today. Off to the slipper now for Skyhook.
Seeing Gerald's horse win today gives us a bit of confidence because as he was very unlucky the other day. He got stood on his head a couple of times and J-Mac was adamant he should have won there, so that gives us a bit of confidence going into next week. It's just one of those years, isn't it, that hasn't been a standout. Apart from Chris Lee's horse, he's won 3 from 3. He's probably got the best form of any of the 2-year-olds, but he only beat our bloke half a neck the other day at Remick, so it tells us everyone's in with a chance. Luck of the day will play a big part, no doubt.
He's going to absolutely blitz them, and Sepoy wins a slipper from Mosheen and Elite Falls.
The Capitalist drawn clear in the slipper. Capitalist takes it out. Capitalist for Blake Shins taken out the slipper.
You've won it twice with Sepoy and Capitalist, and that's so important because you know exactly what sort of horse it takes to win the race.
I wish I had him in this year. Look, I can't see any horse being that sort of class this year, but it's very even, which gives everyone a chance.
What sort of horses were they, and what sort of horse do you need?
You need a horse that's bomb-proof, that can race on speed, handle all track conditions, have a good turn of foot. They've got to be special sort of horses, and that's what makes this year different because everyone has been a different winner every week. So it's just a very even year, and good luck to everyone who's got a horse in it.
Overall, you've downsized in numbers recently, looking more for quality than quantity?
Yeah, that's the part now, just to try and make it a bit less stressful. With big numbers, you've got staff issues, you've got horse problems, you've got everything happening. But I've been in this game a long time now, and I've never put my head up to breathe at all for a long, long time. So I moved to Sydney to try and have 20 or 30 horses. That turned into 120 after 4 months, so it's about time I took a step back and still enjoying what I do. I love what I do, but just a team of about 60 to 70 now is perfect for me, perfect for our staff. Like I said, really good staff now, and looking forward to the future.
Are you still hands-on? I remember a year or two ago we were out there doing a story on another trainer and you had the shovel in hand and you were doing your best.
If you look at me and you tell me I've been in the wash bay, I just got a horse off the trail, hosing down, so I enjoy that. I love being part of the whole atmosphere of the races, so no, it's all good.
The winners have been coming, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's always good to get them, and it's hard work. Hard for everyone, and it's probably got less numbers that don't come as frequently, but we've got a nice team building now, and looking forward to the future.
You look as fit as ever and you're as popular as ever with owners, I would imagine. There's no end in sight for you, is there?
No, I enjoy what I do. It's been racing, been very good to me, and I've had a wonderful life, me and my family, and hopefully it continues a bit longer.
Ron Davacy couldn't pick his nose.
Dufficy is finished. He's over the hill.
Ronnie's a good player.
Hi, I'm Brad Gray.
Ron Dufficy can't pick his nose.
Brad Gray is number 1.
Is that real or not? Nah.
Follow John O'Shea and me, not Ron Dufficy.
Brad Gray has got no idea.
Can I just say, I think we all knew whose voice that was in the background.
Yeah.
I cannot be blamed for that. I wasn't aware that this stitch-up coming through, so
Watch
what
your
can
back,
we say?
they say. Watch your back.
Got to watch your back, Duff. Watch your back.
That was a stitch up, wasn't it?
Sounds like you might have a fan there, Mr. C. Waller, though, Brad Gray.
I think it may have been planted, though.
Okay. Might have been. Plant the seed.
Yeah, I think so.
Who knows? I'll stay out of it. I've got nothing to do with that. Let's keep pushing on now within the law for Björn Baker and Jason Collett.
Well, what do we want to say about her? She knows how to savage the line, I know that.
I want to say that I've been guilty of underestimating her pretty much at every start.
I have
and
too.
I keep getting it wrong. And again, I'm overlooking her.
Well, we were saying all along, restricted races,
Yes.
restricted races. You know, she'll be found out. You know, she's a little cheap purchase. She's the Cinderella story. The big boys are going to run over her shortly. That hasn't happened. She's gone from strength to strength. She wins the Sweden Embrace like this, and impossible to put holes in, really.
Yep, and we know she's going to run a strong 1,200
Yes.
metres. She maps to get a long way back, but that seems to be her pattern. She likes to play stalker and get last look. So she'll need a few things to fall into place from the draw, but I also do like the fact that Jason Collett has been aboard all the way through, so he knows her back to front.
And he was quite bullish about her. I had a chat with Björn at the stables a couple of weeks ago, and I got to have a look at her without her saddle on as well, which I always like to see. And for an inexpensive filly, she's really well put together. She's got that physicalities of the early 2-year-old traits that you like as well. So it's hard to fault her, isn't it?
The one thing I know we're going to get on to Bella Zane, but she was in that race as well, and she set up that time for 1,190 metres.
Yes.
And did work chasing down some speed there, and I thought she went every bit as good.
Yeah.
And she had a little tick over trial since. But we'll get to her. But out of that race, I don't think there's anything between those two, but there's a big differential in the price.
Yeah. Let's hear from Within the Law's trainer Björn Baker at the barrier draw.
She galloped really well this morning. She's had a couple of good hit outs into the Golden Slipper on Saturday, and the rest of the week will very much just keep her in the routine. She's a fairly laid back filly and easy, makes me look good, very straightforward to train, and looking forward to Saturday.
I guess the barrier draw for her wasn't as crucial as it was for some other Slipper horses, because she does tend to get back in the field. Just let her find her feet and feel comfortable in the run.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Jason knows her pretty well now, and as we know, she's got a pretty good turn of foot. She's very genuine, and I think looking at the race, they sometimes say there's not a lot of speed in the race, but I think when you look at the gates, just with weight of numbers and where people want to be around Rosehill, there'll be plenty of speed, and I think that will give her every opportunity.
All right, well, this is now at current time of record our second favourite Tempted that we touch on for James Cummings, and Blake Shin comes up to ride out of the Riesling.
It appears that she might be the favourite by jump time. Everyone's seeming to think that way, Brad.
Well, Mahuna might be the favourite jump time the way
The way it's going, I know, right?
Yeah, so Mahuna has to chase down the fast horse here, and then this race, all these leaders cave in, but Tempted capitalised on it. She looks a beautiful filly.
Yeah, well, it's the same argument, the Bella Zane within the law,
100%,
isn't it?
100%.
One of them on speed, absorbing pressure, and just being beaten by the horse that got the drop and was suited by the pressure. So, Tempted, she had no luck in the Blue Diamond. She comes through a fast run 1,200 metres, which I love, and I wouldn't peg her as a simple back marker, because you saw her on debut over 1,000 metres, and she was kind of just in behind the speed. So I don't think she's going to be part of the speed battle by any stretch, but Barrier 1 gives Blake Shin the chance to settle closer. And Mahuna, the gamble with her was always going to be whether she was going to make the field, wasn't it?
Yes.
And now she's there. All of a sudden you see her price, $51, $26, $15, $13, and at the time of record she's a $10 chance. So
They've been chipping away.
So the punters have cottoned on to the fact that she's a pretty talented filly in her own right.
My word.
Well, let's talk about another talented filly. This is Bella Zane for Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott, and Regan Bayliss is aboard.
Yeah, it's a horrible draw, but at least she has got speed. So I think her best chance is probably have a crack and bluff them out of the lead and then come back underneath Regan. Because I thought she was excellent here. She was another one, had to cart the field up on top of the speed here all the way. She had to come in the middle of the track because the fence wasn't ideal, and she's a sitting shot late, but she was excellent. She was absolutely excellent in this race. That was 1,000 metres. She crossed off the 1,200 box next time, and her run in the gym crack, when you go back to it, was a total forgive at her first start. when she was 4 and 5 deep from barrier 14. So she's had a lovely winning trial since.
So at the very first 2-year-old trials, I went back and looked through my notes on her and I said, looks like a colt.
She is, that's what I like. She's got condition on her. She's not one of these little wimpy
not at all.
running fillies. She has got strength about her.
So much strength, so much strength.
A very good point, because that's what won me the other day, looking at her, and I thought, you're strong. You've got more to offer.
I love looking back and remembering what I'd said about them at the time, and then seeing even how they've changed, and she's just, if anything, come on since we've seen that. So she's been there from day dot. That's what I like too.
Yep.
What do you think, Brad?
I don't think it should be lost either that she did jump 1,000 to 1,200 metres, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and she did it both ends.
And she did it both ends. So she just it comes down to early pressure, as Duff touched on. Drawn where she's drawn, she's got speed outside, inside, and if you just soften up, that leaves her vulnerable. But there will be a tipping point where she's simply paying too much, and maybe she's already got to that point.
Well, a bit of an unknown filly for us here in Sydney is Military Tycoon for Kieran Maher, and we have Thomas Stockdale coming up to ride as well.
Oh, what are we going to do with this form? She bolts in. It's a 1,000-metre race down the straight. She's got a lovely-looking pedigree. She's very sharp. Is she part of the speed battle as well? I don't know. But just connections, that's all you've got to respect here, is the Kieran Maher factor. And on form, there's not enough of it to work with.
She's the one you just don't know.
I don't know.
She's the great unknown, isn't she?
She's the great unknown.
Could run well, could run awful, and you just feel like, well...
Well, she's 25 to 1, and there's no specking there yet.
No.
If it did come, you'd probably show more respect to her.
She's had 2 runs, both over 1,000 metres, and both down the Flemington Straight. So it makes her very hard to judge.
Impossible.
Well, let's talk about the well-backed now Mahuna, who does get a run, of course. Damien Lane rides for Michael Friedman.
I think we both like her a bit. She put the writing on the wall here, Brad.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's got enormous here. Winning at Canary Dream side, it did run well last week. So
not well enough.
No.
Maybe a head better would have been closer.
Yeah. So that form, we thought, Friday night Canterbury form, we'll take it or leave it. And then she comes and does that in the Riesling. So she looks quality, and we know, Michael Friedman's a good trainer of 2-year-olds, which has been proven.
And I think she's the map horse in the race.
Yes.
Because she's drawn...
Just a beautiful
She's drawn 6, and she's got 5 horses drawn underneath her that she shouldn't have too much resistance from. So I think she just darts straight forward, finds the fence, and then just lets that wave of speed come across, and she just smokes the pipe.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, that's a look at all 16 in the field. We will touch on the 2 emergencies on the other side, but in the meantime, Brad, you've been busy at your favourite spot, the big wall there, to find out and work out what you think the speed map will look like in the Golden Slipper.
Saturday sees the running of the Golden Slipper. Group 1 2-year-olds dive into a speed map, and the Golden Slipper speed map is always important, but even more so this year. So as you can see by this layout, there's a lot of pressure from the get-go. So touching on the horses that are likely to lead, I think North England, where he's drawn, he'll go straight to the front. Devil Knight settled close by in a Blue Diamond. It won't be too far away. And then you've got Belazane, who is a fast filly in her own right. I don't think she's got any other option but to use her natural brilliance. And we're talking about a filly that was on speed over 1,000 metres. So they'll carve across and might even end up in front of North England. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, just in behind, I think, is your sweet spot. Now, Golden Slipper history tells you that you don't want to be too far back. In the past 15 runnings of the Golden Slipper, only 2 horses have settled further back than midfield. Both of those winners were on wet tracks, and both of them cut the corner. So looking at those with that right position, you've got Skyhook on the quick backup. Mahuna shouldn't have too much trouble crossing those immediate 5 runners to her inside to find the front at some point before this wave comes across to give her some cover. Woden, I know there is a sentiment that they're going to ride him a touch more conservative, but I don't think they'll waste barrier 2. He's a horse that has got some gate speed, and I do think he can get across Tempted in the early stages. Looking a touch wider, it looks a little bit sticky for Military Tycoon. Hard horse to assess on form and speed, because we've only seen her twice, and it was both Flemington and both over 1,000 metres. Spinning around, you've got West of Swindon, who is here off a little setback, but he gets a nice position just forward of midfield. Tempted, a nice gate for her, barrier 1. I know it's easy to peg her as a back marker, but you go back to her debut where she drew a gate and she wasn't far away over 1,000 metres. So that just gives Blake Shinn the chance to smoke the pipe towards the inside, get the back of Woden, and she will be hard running on hard late. We know she's a quality filly and the market is reflective of her chances. Rivellino, I think they'd like to be closer and maybe they could hold a spot outside of Tempted. How this track is playing come later in the card there at Rosehill might be detrimental in terms of where these runners want to be. Hugh Bowman does the riding. You've got Quietly Arrogant, Tycoon Star, really sticky draws for Bayvucht and Farsighted, 2 horses with speed, but I think they have to ride negative given where they have drawn. So yeah, a bit to play out there in the early stages. King of Pop goes back and within the law. She's a touch one-dimensional, and where she has drawn, she looks to settle somewhere out the back. The horses to beat, I think, do have quality, and they also map to get the right runs. I can't go around Woden. I think if you like him like I do, we'll just hold fire because I think you'll get a much better price come jump. Skyhook on the backup, he gets the right run. The same for Tempted. And if there's a roughie that runs well, I think it's Mahuna. But again, the market has taken care of that. But Woden on top. If you're having a bet in the Golden Slipper, I wish you the best of luck.
Wouldn't want one of them in my cabinet one day. It's what we all dream about, isn't it, guys?
Oh, my word.
That's what you'd like out of all the trophies?
Yeah, I'd love one.
A slipper.
Yeah.
Well, it's the biggest 2-year-old race in the world.
That's right,
and
for a
everyone
reason.
strives to win it. It's worth a lot of money. Lots got to go right.
That's right. Well, we still have 2 more emergencies to touch on too. We've had a look at the full field of 16. Now we talk about Alabama Magic, of course, for Brett Kavanagh, and young Braith Knock, should she get a run.
Yeah, well, she's run the race of her life here to sort of get a black type here. She's obviously improved. I think she's going to be better next preparation and be a great moment for Braith, as you said earlier, if he does happen to get a ride in a slipper here and just needs one scratching. But I'm not sure this is the strongest lead up. Memo overpowers them late here and gets the job done. And she was good. She kept grinding, kept finding the line really well. So she won't disgrace herself if she does get in there.
And pedigree-wise, she's bred to get a bit further in time as well. So there's something to work with there going forward.
Okay, and then finally, nepotism. So this is our 18th runner, our second emergency for Team Hawkes with no jockey notified at this stage. But there, again, was a big rap on this horse.
No, nice horse. Really nice horse. This is all too soon. Whether he's a Brisbane horse, I don't know. Whether there's some slim pickings coming up in the next couple of weeks, probably. But yeah, he couldn't do much more than what he did in the Todman, I wouldn't think.
No, it needs a miracle to make the field. But when we were talking about Tentress as potentially starting one of the favourites and Woden as the horse to beat.
And he does that having his first
And he does that on debut at that level. If he does happen to make the field, he wouldn't be going around without me at $61.
Yeah, that's right. He won't be 60 to 1.
Well, only 2 more sleeps until we find out because the Golden Slipper is upon us. So it's now time to check in to see if we're still on the right path, if we jumped off, if we changed, who we're backing, guys.
I just think she's too good a price. So I've had 5 bets in the race, and Bella Zane is definitely one of them.
Brad?
I don't know if I've ever done this on the show. It's been running for a few seasons now, but I've just stuck the whole way through. So we'll see if that works out well, or maybe not. But Woden, for me, I just love the barrier. I think he's ready to peak. You've got Chris Waller, James McDonald, Winker's first time, and just hold fire.
Loyalty from you. Maybe that's why Chris Waller says you're his favourite teacher.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's all my tips.
Maybe that's what it is, Brad. I see what's going on here.
It goes both ways.
I'm with Skyhook on the week backup. What about the rough path? Who's our roughies?
West of Swindon, $31. Could have easily been King of Pop at 41, but West of Swindon's in my top 4. And, I think he'll run well.
Yep, I'm with North England still. Very first time I saw him at the 2-year-old trials. I was saying to Duff before, I snuck out to the 2-year-old jump outs early and I was asking everyone who their pick was and they all said North England then. So sometimes it's a good idea to stick with them.
There you go, on the topic of loyalty.
Oh, see? There you go.
There you go, it pays at the end. Mahuna, I don't know if $10 counts as a roughie anymore, but we'll stick with her.
Okay. Well, on that, I think you should probably get the price that you had her at when she was originally as your roughie, right?
Yeah, that's only
fair.
That seems fair.
Yeah. That's only fair. We don't have rules on this show.
No,
just
we
like
make it up as we go.
We just do what we want. 2 more sleeps, guys, until the Golden Slipper. As always, thanks for joining us here on the Golden Path. That's us done until we see you in the springtime.